Thank you all, my fellow countrymen and women, my dear soldiers of the Ambazonia Revolution. This is your humble servant and soldier of the Ambazonian Revolution, Dr.Cho Ayaba. In the past 58 years, our country has been under occupation. Our country has been taken over by a brutal external force and country that has no compunction in terms of its attitude towards our people or towards our country. For 57 years, all international efforts to bring Cameroon to understand that we are separate peoples and that if there is supposed to be any coexistence, it is supposed to be regulated by international law. Cameroon has failed to submit itself to the jurisdiction of any international institution or its actions to be regulated by international law. Cameroon has preferred the use of its military and presidential powers to extend its borders beyond the one it had on 1st January 1960. Cameroon has used its army and domestic police officers to murder our people, to torture all those who question the legality of its presence in our homeland. For more than 57 years, it has engineered a policy of economic exploitation, which it has used to build a large army that it has used to torture our people. It has exploited our resources without any reciprocation in economic development. It has engaged in deliberate policies of economic asphyxiation to impoverish us so we can be dependent on its decadent system. My dear Ambazonians, for 57 years, Cameroon has dismantled our political institutions, installed in our land alien rules, agents of its policies of expansion. It has disregarded our reality as a people, our own value system and our own cultural system. It has brought in place alien laws and alien rules and actors who have acted in our land like we were slaves and that they are colonial agents dedicated to the imposition of brutality in our country. For 57 years, Cameroon has tormented our mothers, treated our women with disdain, treated our men with contempt. It has assassinated any person that has opposed its rule in our country. In the past 57 years, Cameroon has refused to dialogue. It has refused to bring itself to the level of equality where it can negotiate with us as a people, respecting our cultural sensitivities, our own value systems that are unique to our homeland. Fellow Ambazonians, for 57 years, Cameroon has treated us like slaves, like we owe them perpetual child support. Cameroon has treated our women like captured servants that should live under the dictate of its own system. In the early 90s, during the process of the creation of political parties, Cameroon refused to engage in any form of meaningful dialogue, even with domestic opposition parties. Its own form of dialogue coexisted with brutality, inhumane treatment of all those it captured and detained in its homeland. Cameroon's call for dialogue has always coexisted with a banality of evil that has been overseen by a military trained to kill, trained to subjugate. Its call for dialogue has never been genuine. It has used the cover of dialogue to usurp, to make sure it dismantles any form of domestic opposition to its role. Fellow Ambazonians, for 57 years, we have begged, we have appealed to Cameroon, we have called on the attention of the international community to understand the domestic reality under which Ambazonians live. For 57 years, we have begged the world to listen to our plight, to see the reality of the pain of our people. For 57 years, the doors have been shut on us. We have been rejected, treated with contempt. For 57 years, our land has become a gigantic political space for experiments of different economic and political philosophies. Fellow Ambazonians, in the past 30 years, Professor Carson Anyangwe proposed a constitutional amendment that would have legalized coexistence between Cameroon and Ambazonia. Mr. Biya rejected that form of dialogue and announced a grand and large debate by faxes and telephone calls. In the past 3 years, our teachers and lawyers asked Cameroon to engage in some meaningful form of dialogue, to reform the educational system, to give our people an opportunity within our homeland to study in the language of their birth, to study under a curriculum of education that makes them an asset. Our lawyers have called for the reformation of a legal system that was alien to the domestic jurisdiction of Ambazonia. Our teachers were kidnapped, our lawyers were tortured. All possibilities to bring Cameroon to the table to discuss its presence within our homeland was rejected. On the 22nd of September 2007 and on the 1st of October 2017, millions of our people descended on the street with olive branches, calling on the world to understand the pain that we've gone through, knocking still on the doors of Cameroon to understand we were a people. We are still a people that have a right to external self-determination. Cameroon believed in its invincibility. It deployed helicopter gunships that rained bullets on our people, dropped grenades on our people, murdered dozens of our people, chased hundreds of boys in the backyard of Moliko, shot them at point blank range, and allowed their bodies to rot in the woods. We mobilize ourselves at the level of the international system to appeal to the international community to come in and rescue our people that have been facing extermination from Cameroon. Cameroon sent its agents that collaborated with Nigeria. They kidnapped Comrade Seseko and others from Nigeria, deported them illegally into Cameroon. A couple of weeks later, others were kidnapped from Taraba State. Others were taken from Calabar. They were transported to Yaoundé. They were detained incommunicado for months, subjected to cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment for no crime, for simply asking to live in peace in the land of their birth, under a system they understood, under a political regime accountable to the people. They were tortured, subjected to humiliation, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, denied access to lawyers, treated with contempt and disdain without any respect for their own dignity and the right to exist in their own country. Some were murdered. Our protest marches across the world and in Ambazonia pushed Cameroon to the brink. It redeployed helicopter gunships over our villages, burned down more than 1,000 villages, killing Mami Api in our home. It caused the Santa massacre. It murdered our people in Penin. It used chemical weapons in Bali, as it did in 1986 in Lake Nyos. Cameroon has treated us with such bestiality that there is no room. There is no room to talk with a people who at the same time are using their agents of death within our villages, destroying our cities, murdering our young boys, torturing our people in jail. At this time in our lives, at this time in our miserable existence, at this time in the destiny of our nation, Cameroon needs to honor itself, withdraw its forces from Ambazonia, and let our people free. The only way for Cameroon to think about dialogue is to withdraw from the territory of Ambazonia and allow the citizens of our country to constitute a government of themselves that is going to take care of the IDPs, that is going to bring back our people from the bushes, re-establish them in their villages and their cities, open our schools, and open our economic system to be able to take care of the Ambazonian people. Fellow Ambazonians, we have suffered. We've suffered under Cameroon. We've suffered under Cameroon. We have bled under Cameroon. We have been undignified under Cameroon. And the bad thing about this indignity is the arrogance of the regime. Is the arrogance of Cameroon to think we are so gullible that it can play every trick in the book to lure us into a trap that we have lived under with pain and disgust. It has robbed us of our essentiality. It has robbed us of our dignity. It has humiliated us in the land of our birth. It has buried our people alive. It has destroyed our economic system. It has destroyed our hospitals. The sad part about Cameroon's presence is the presence of our people in Kondengi. An occupying regime with no pity. The presence of our people in Yaoundé, in the jails of Cameroon, tells it all. That Cameroon believes we are a captured people. And its own form of dialogue is to demand surrender for us to live as a colony of Cameroon. It has recruited amongst us enablers that has enabled it to go through our villages, that has given it the legitimacy to call for dialogue in the land of the Kuva-Lekenyes, of the Patasangs, of the Mamiapis. It has made it impossible for us to breathe. It has made it impossible for us to dream. It has made it impossible for us to even bury our death. We will not forget. This is the never again generation. This is the generation of the General Ivors. My fellow countrymen and women, this is the time to bring pressure to bear on Cameroon. This is the time to send a powerful message to the international community that after 4.5 million people affected by Cameroon's brutality and genocidal policies in our land, after tens of thousands of deaths, after hundreds of thousands of our people displaced internally, after hundreds of thousands of our people living in squalor in the bushes, living in Nigeria as refugees, being kidnapped and tortured and tormented. It is an abuse and an attack on the Ambazonian people to find agents of the colonial state walk our streets, aided by enablers, to cajole the people they have murdered, to cajole the women whose sons and daughters have been raped and humiliated, to sit on the same table in the same room with their tormentors and murderers. It will not happen. Under our watch, it will not happen. Cameroon must withdraw from our territory urgently and let our captives free. Cameroon must withdraw its troops from the territory of Ambazonia. Only then shall we constitute a nation that Cameroon is going to pay for 57 years of slavery, for 57 years of thuggery, for 57 years of humiliation. This generation will fight our valiant soldiers of the revolution in the diaspora who have been able to inform the world about the plight of our people, make the US Senate, Parliament, British House of Commons and House of Lords will continue to bring pressure to bear on the international system that betrayed us in the first place. Our valiant soldiers on the ground will continue to put their bodies in the line of fire to defend the territorial integrity of our homeland, to ensure that true independence is restored in the land of our birth, to give our people a shot in the 21st century to live their dreams. We should be brave. We have not come this far to buckle in the face of deception and manipulation aided by enablers. Henceforth, in the fight for our existence, survival, there is one option. There is only one school of thought. That is full independence. Anyone within our territory who enables Cameroon to ensure the colonialism of Ambazonia will be treated as an enemy. Henceforth, all enablers that are facilitating the murder of our people will be treated as accessories to the crime of genocide. And we would treat them accordingly under international law. We are fighting for our survival. This is not a political campaign. It is about the survival of the people of Ambazonia. It is about our existence. It's not about glory. It's not about opinion. The only opinion in the territory of Ambazonia is its freedom. Every citizen of our homeland must toe the line, become a patriot volunteer in the defense of the right of our people, expressed on the 22nd of September 2017 and on the 1st of October 2017, and expressed in a signature referendum in 1995 for their right to exist in the land of their birth as a free people. That is the only opinion in Ambazonia. Any extra opinion in our territory that facilitates the annihilation of our people, the continuous detention of our people in the dungeons of Cameroon, will be treated with contempt and disdain. This is the time for the last fight to defend our people. On the 20th of May 2019, we expect all the soldiers of the revolution in the homeland to take over the streets of Ambazonia, to make sure the only people who occupy the streets of our homeland are the soldiers, are the troops defending the interests of our country. This is a collective stance of the leadership of our revolution. And every citizen below the age of 17 must stay indoors. Fellow citizens, remain committed to your independence. Remain committed to your freedom. You have achieved a milestone in the 21st century. You have achieved a milestone more than any generation has achieved in the shortest time possible. You will go down in history as the generation that altered the international system. You will go down in history as the generation that used their bare bodies, their voices, their fingers in Twitter wars to be able to challenge and establish oligarchy that has preyed and drank the blood of our people. You are the proud generation. The only thing you can give those who've gone before us is a homeland which their forebears, their children will be proud of. You want to meet General Ivo one day and relate to him that before you left, Ambazonia was free. God bless you all. Happy independence.